Hello, aspirants. Welcome to PW OnlyIAS. I'm your Harpreet Singh with the daily analysis of the Hindu from 20th of December 2024. Let's begin with today's analysis. This is a QR code of the Telegram account where you can basically find this particular PDF along with what material that is required for your preparation. What all topics we have taken for today's analysis? See, National Policy Framework on Agricultural Marketing. Now, this is a draft has been released regarding this agriculture marketing, and there have been protests from the side of the farmers. We'll be analyzing that. Along with it, we have the concept of witch hunting, then PM Kusum, Odisha's Armed Police Reserve Force, Ekalavya School, and the crime against humanity concept we're going to do today. Let's begin with today's analysis. Main topics. The farmers' outfits reject center's draft policy on agri marketing. This was in today's The Hindu newspaper. So please understand this, that right now this is a draft. It is not that it has been released. It is just released for the consensus or discussion with respect to what can be added, what can be deleted. So let us first of all see what the draft basically talks about. So the key proposals of the draft National Policy Framework on Agriculture Marketing. Now let's see. The constitution of first what it says is the constitution of an empowered agriculture marketing reform committee. This is one of the major dimensions which has been mentioned. What will it do? Suggested creation a panel of similar to GST empowered committee for the state finance minister. Composition: state agriculture minister chaired on a rotational basis. Registration under the Societies Registration Act 1860. Constitution of a committee. The constitution of a committee should be made through non-statutory gazette notification. That means through an executive order rather than a law being passed for that. And next is operation: quarterly meetings as needed, a permanently secretariat proposed. So first thing that the policy said that there should be a empowered agriculture marketing reform committee like we have for the GST empowered committee. Similarly type of a committee needs to be formed, and that was the first proposal that was mentioned in the national policy framework, which is basically suggesting that state agriculture minister should be the chairman on a rotational basis, registered under the Societies Registration Act. Along with it, need not be a statutory body, can be simply a body formed by the executive order. So, second, what would be the goal of the committee that would be formed? Goals of the committee: to push the states to adopt reform provisions in the state APMC Act. So, what we realize that the markets that they basically have at the state level. So what they want is that the push should be that at the ground level, the state should be adopting the reforms that are being suggested by the state government, so that the reform at the ground level is implemented with respect to the mandis and the markets where the agriculture trading basically takes place. So in that perspective, to notify the rules and build up the consensus among the states to move towards a unified national market for agricultural produce through a single licensing registration system. Right now we have the APMC mandis, where we realize that every state has its own APMC mandis, where a lot of red tapeism is there, a lot of problems with respect to getting proper price or not getting a price is there. Along with it, we realize that a lot of issues with respect to red tapeism are existing because of the old system of marketing that exists there. So now what happens because of that is the proper price discovery or the price that the farmer should get are not achieved. And because of that, the central government has often very suggested that there should be a reformation in the APMC concept, and which will basically lead to the farmers getting better prices for their crops also. Now, with respect to that, they said this committee should be basically pushing towards or letting the states realize the importance of the reformation at the APMC market and move towards a better system where a unified national market would be there, where you can get better prices for whatever produce you are making or producing for that matter. So what will happen is this will lead to a reformation in the agricultural sector, along with the price discovery or the price that the farmers want with respect to their crops would be better. So that is why this second provision is also one of the goals that the committee will aim at. Now next, proposed reforms for the states. So what were the reforms that the draft policy framework says? It says that adoption of a model Agricultural Produce Marketing Act 2003. Now they said, what should be the basically, if you want to reform the APMC, you need to first adopt the Agriculture Produce Marketing Act provisions that are there and reform your marketing system as well as a price discovery mechanism so that your mandi systems are reformed, because that is a major hindrance towards the farmers not benefiting from the produce that they are making. So that is why they realize that they say that for the implementation of 12 identified reform areas, including private wholesale market, direct farm gate purchases by processors exporters, deemed market yard status for warehouses and cold storage, and single time market fee and unified trading licenses across states. So what is basically being done over here is streamlining of the processes. Like private wholesale market should be there. Similarly, direct farm gate purchases by processor. That means from the farm itself, a person or a company can tie up with the farm and directly purchase it from there rather than going to a market, a mandi. From there, further price will escalate, and over there from buying from there will lead to a lot of unions basically coming into being, and that will lead to a lot of red tapeism in the purchase of the goods. So you can directly purchase from the farms, from the farmers itself. Those provisions are there. Deemed market yard status for warehouses. So what the market status is given to let us say APMCs also. Similarly, the warehouses and the cold storage can also be given as a status of market. Next is single time market fee, because we realize that in the APMC mandis a lot of regularly fees has to be given, and that leads to a lot of exploitation also. So single time market fee and a unified trading licenses across the state. So wherever you want to trade or sell, it is your right. So this basically streamlines the agriculture produce. Wherever you want to sell, you can sell. Whoever wants to buy it. There should be no restriction because of the APMC mandis that are basically present. So this is streamlining it. Now, fourth is price insurance scheme for farmers, proposed as a price assurance mechanism similar to PM Fasal Bima Yojana, with an aim of stabilize farmers' income during price crashes, encourage adoption of modern agriculture practices, and third, enhance credit flow to the agricultural sector. So that easily there is access to cash or money from this for the farmer also. So this is basically the four major aspects that are present in the draft national policy framework for agriculture marketing. Now the problem that arises is the farmers outfit reject the center's draft policy on agri marketing. Okay. Now see what is going on is farmers have been protesting because of various reasons. Now what farmers say? See, they have a fear that first is the central government or the government of India is again trying to get the similar laws in future. So like those which were revealed, like those which were repealed. See, what is going on is the first fear that is in the mind of the farmers is that again you're trying to distort or impact the APMC concept or the mandis or the markets over there. So what is going on is they fear that they are again trying to bring in with those laws or similar structures which were already repealed post the farmers' protest. So now this is again one of the major fears. Next is that the farmers are of the view that you reform the APMC rather than completely dismantling it. And what they view is, again, we should understand the farmer's view over here. The farmer's view is that this is basically leading to the destruction of the concept of APMC. And that is what is a problematic situation for the side of the farmers who are protesting. They say this will lead to destruction of APMCs rather than reforming them. Third thing that they have raised is, please understand, when we talk about, see here, over here, the concept is mentioned direct farm gate purchases by processors, exports, retailers, and again, deemed market yard status for warehouses and cold storage. Now, what is the problem over here, according to the farmers, is that big companies, big companies would basically be buying large warehouses and they will be directly buying from the farmers. Initially, what they will do is they will give good prices to the farmers that, see, we are giving you 2 times or 3 times the money that you could have got from the APMC mandis, right? So what is going on? That means you're getting a very high price by the private sector companies who have large warehouses. Later on, what will happen is, when the importance or the concept of APMC will not be relevant because you're getting good prices from the private sector, later on, it is the private sector who will be like a dominating figure, and they can later on decrease the prices which they were getting, with the farmers are getting even from the APMC. So a possibility of private sector mandis and price monopoly. That means it is the private sector which is going to misuse later on. Please understand that. The example that is given is, even with the cases of Walmart, if you see in United States also, what they used to do is, because they had a huge amount of money, when they used to procure goods from the farmers in the United States also, they used to give very high prices. And what happened is, later on, when the monopoly of the Walmart was created, later on, they were the ones who dictated the prices. And similarly, they said, if you do it now also, similar problems will basically arise, and the farmers in the long term will suffer. In the short term, it will be very nice because they'll be getting prices because it will be more lucrative. But in the future, when the private sector are going to get the hold of all the market, then they will be destroying the, what we say as the APMCs first of all, and second would be that they would dictate the prices what the farmers would be given, and that is what will create a lot of problems also. Now, these are some of the things that are being discussed. Next thing the farmers are saying is, over here, issue of MSP is being negated. The issue of MSP is being negated right now because the demand was of the legalizing. Demand was of what? Legalizing MSP. So what they're saying is that the topic is being diverted with respect to the agriculture reform. So these are few of the problems or the issues that the farmers have raised, and because of that, they are saying that we completely reject the marketing, this draft policy framework of agriculture marketing. Now, what should be the way forward also? Please understand. The way forward should be, see, we cannot say that the APMC should not be reformed. They should be reformed. It is very important. We should maintain a balance. Whatever loopholes are there, along with it, that should be reformed in the APMC. Along with it, yes, private sector should be given an option. Those who want to procure directly, they should be able to given the right. And see, a level playing field should be created. And along with the consensus from the farmers also, that is also important, because if you're bringing reforms from somebody, they should also be important stakeholders. So a middle path should be adopted by the government with this perspective also. Let's move ahead. Witch hunting, a very important topic. See, what is witchcraft? See, witchcraft is a practice of magic skills, spells, abilities that believed to influence a person's body, mind, or property. So witchcraft, again, if you see from an anthropological point of view also, is an entity that possesses inherently certain powers, which person can use certain spells to harm somebody else. Witchcraft is never associated with a positive dimension. It also is associated with a dimension which you're intending to harm somebody. Now, witch hunting over here, please understand, as we have mentioned over here also, is actually a labeling of a particular person as a witch. predominantly the woman, as a witch, and then you tend to kill that person because the person has been labeled as a witch. Why this is done? There are various reasons behind it. Because see, if you want to destroy a reputation of a person, if you have some personal enmity with a person, whatever be the reason, or let us say the girl, if someone's wife is not able to produce a child, now under normal circumstances you realize that how can you shun that person out from your family? These are the things that goes on in various places, parts of the country and across the world also, where when you brand that particular woman as a witch, then the whole community or the society is involved in, let us say, harassing that person or even killing that person. So that is an easy way out to get rid of a person. That is why in India also, every year, hundreds and hundreds of women are branded as witches and then killed by the villagers or the societies. So that is why, please understand, women are specifically targeted and basically branded as witches. Because then when you are branded as a witch, that means that witch will be, in a way, impacting the whole village or the society. So that means a whole society comes together and say, we need to destroy this particular entity. And that is why you get a support and the legitimacy of the society. And once the whole society is involved, then for the police also it becomes difficult that who was actually involved in the crime. See, in 2021, the United Nations Human Rights Council passed a resolution to eliminate the harmful practices related to witchcraft accusations and ritual attacks. Data from shows that 2009 to 2019, close to 20,000 documented cases have been there across 60 countries. Now, if you say 20,000, in reality, more than 20,000 would be alone in India. But there are documented cases. Majority, this is the tip of an iceberg. This will be less than 1%. If you see in India, in rural areas, large number of women are targeted as witches and then killed also. You do not get to know about them also. And across the world, even in countries like Africa, in continents like Africa, various countries over there, even in Egypt you see, even in Sudan you see these cases of witch hunting very often. Even in certain tribes in the Australian Aboriginals also you see the concept is this existing. So we realize them to be existing in a very large number. The problem is that it is not reported very often. So the reasons that come, it is, see, combination of, what are the reasons behind this? Combination of superstitious belief, religious practices, and the patriarchal norms result in women being branded as witches. So again, these are the things. Next, witch hunting is always deployed to deprive women of the land and the property, and to take revenge where a woman refuses sexual advances, and to punish the women for petty disputes. These are also the reasons. Next, lack of education and health services have contributed to continuation of this antiquated practice, because what happens is generally people assume that if someone is getting ill, it is because a particular person has done some spell or witchcraft practices have been done. That is why the person has got ill. Rather than treating it from a medical dimension, you tend to associate it with witchcraft, and that is why it creates a lot of problem also. So this is the important dimension. The complexity of the issue and its punitive dimension can be found blurring of the boundaries between protector and the perpetrator. So over here, it means that you do not have a proper enforcement of a law also. That does basically makes it very difficult to identify and punish the person who has done the crime. So it is also a very easy way out to brand a woman as a witch and then kill it, and then you get rid of it. This is because the perpetrators are often members of their own family, neighborhood, and community. So nobody is ready to be a witness of that particular crime. Women themselves resist challenging the patriarchal norms of the superstition. Moreover, the identity politics of Adivasis versus non-Adivasi overtakes the reality of patriarchal violence within the Adivasi community. Society and governments are hardly outraged over the torture, rape, and murders rural in the name of the witch hunting. So even cases of rape happening in certain tribal people, because a particular person has been branded a woman, if you are raping that woman, it is fine because that she's a witch or branded as a witch. So in order to satisfy one's own heinous thinking, a woman can be branded as a witch. And that is also one of the cases over here. As a result of this, lethargic responses and action, accused go unpunished. So this is again one few of the various problems because of which this concept does exist. There are various laws also that is passed. In Bihar, Prevention of Witch Dye Practices Act 1993. In Jharkhand, Prevention of Witch Dye Practices Act 2001. Chhattisgarh, Tonhai Pratadhna Nivaran Act 2005, Odisha Prevention of Witch Hunting Act 2013, and various other places. So do you realize you will be seeing these are the regions which are either very rural or having a large tribal population where such practices do exist. Now, these were the aspects. Let us move to the aspect main questions of the day. Now, see, question is, what is witch hunting? What are the reasons? What are the reasons that it still exists in our society? 15 marker. Just try it. Try this question. Next, prelims topics. PM Kusum. This was again in your newspaper. Yeah, what is PM Kusum? PM Kusum is a flagship initiative launched by India in 2019, aiming to revolutionize the agriculture sector by promoting the widespread adoption of solar energy solutions. Operating on a demand-driven model, allocates capacities based on the request from the various states and union territories. Now see, one needs to understand that we basically are utilizing the solar energy as a means to, let us say, solar power pumps, solar energy, so that we not only promote the solar energy, but also make it more sustainable. Because when you use diesel generators and all, what happens is that it produces a lot of pollution also. Now, this is a means which is cheaper, it is natural, easily available for the farmers also, and later on affordable also in a long term. The scheme envisions substantial addition of 30.8 gigawatt to solar power the capacity by March 2026, facilitated through a funding of components and the various financial support that the government of India has basically given. Now see, what are the objectives? De-dieselization of the farm sector. So that means if it's solar powered, you will not be requiring those diesel as a means for powering the generators and all. You are getting energy from the solar energy. Increased farmers' income, because you will be saving, reducing the irrigation cost through solar pumps, enabling surplus lower power that can be sold to the grid. You can earn income from that. Similarly, that will add to further income, because you're not spending on the diesel every time for the powering the pump. So overall, you are increasing your income through various means and saving the income also. Water and energy security. Access to solar pumps and promotion of solar-based community irrigation projects aim to enhance the water and the energy security. Curbing environmental pollution, because using clean and renewable energy basically increases a goal towards achieving the sustainable development goals also. Implemented. Ministry responsible is Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. What are the components that are associated? Please see, the government will distribute 1.75 million off-grid agricultural solar pumps. So solar pumps that are basically getting energy from the solar energy. 1000 megawatt solar plants will be installed on the barren land. State electricity distribution companies, that are known as DISCOMs, will purchase excess solar power from the farmers on the barren land and receiving incentives. Tube wells and existing government pumps will be converted into solar pumps, because a lot of energy is again drained because using the diesel generator and all are being used in order to power it. Now solar pumps are again sustainable, saving the income also, and you're not using the diesel also. Farmer will receive 60% subsidy on solar pumps directly deposited into their bank accounts. Again, a very good incentive, shared by the central and the state government. The remaining 30% to be obtained on bank loan, with farmer bearing only 10% of the cost. So farmer just has to bear 10% of the total cost. Rest is 60% by the central and the state government, 30% from the bank loan, and 10% is the cost that the farmer will bear. So this was again a very positive way ahead. That is why one of the important schemes of Government of India. Next is strength of Odisha's new armed police reserve force, topic 4. This can be asked in your papers also. Please remember that in your prelims in particular. Odisha, India's first armed unit deployed for tiger reserve protection. For the first time in India, an armed police force has been deployed for the tiger reserve protection. So this is something new. This can be asked in your prelims as one liner. The Simlipal National Park will be guarded by a company that will have 1 commandant, 1 inspector, 3 sub-inspectors, and 30 havaldars, 87 sepoys, and 3 drivers. Even the Mayurbham SP will be charged of the administrative affairs. All the expenses of this company will be borne by the Forest and the Environment Department. They will be there to protect the wildlife, particularly tigers over here. So this is something very important. And what is the National Tiger Reserve? This thing again has to be remembered. Clear? Next. Ekalavya School. Again, article was mentioned, so let us know what Ekalavya is. Ekalavya Model Residential School. Now see, Ekalavya Model Residential School, EMRS, was started in the year 97-98 to impart quality education to the scheduled tribe children in the remote areas, to enable them access to best opportunities in education and bringing it par with the general population at whole. ERMS was established in the states and union territories from the grants received under Article 275 of the Constitution of India. And what are the features? So that means, first of all, before we go ahead, this is a school, again, that been established in various parts in order to give quality education to the scheduled tribe people. Along with it, we should know that among the scheduled tribes, some of them are very backward, who are given the status of particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Over there, also certain quota is there for them so that they can basically also come into the mainstream population. Features: ERMS are co-educational residential schools. Co-residential, that means both girls and boys, from class 5th, 6th till class 12th. Ekalavya schools will be on par with the Navodaya Vidyalayas and will have special facilities for preserving local art and culture, along with them training in sports and skill development. Each school has a capacity of 480 students with equally number of seats for both boys and girls. Even remember one more thing, non-ST students can be admitted in the schools with up to 10% of the total seats. So that means out of 480 seats, 48 students can be non-ST. CBSE curriculum is followed in these schools. National Educational Society for Tribal Students, an autonomous organization, has been set up by Ministry of Tribal Affairs to establish and manage the ERMS across the country. Government targets, as per the budget 2018-19, every block with more than 50% of the scheduled tribe population and at least 20,000 tribal population will have an EMRS by the year 2022. But the problem that arose is because of the COVID, we realize that the targets have been further delayed. So this is a very good initiative from the side of the government also, that the opportunities that the scheduled tribe people are not able to achieve, they can get over here, they can get quality education, because till class 12th, it is being, the students can study over here, and it's a residential school. And that is the most important as dimension, and that brings you at par with the other people at large, because again, the curriculum that is being followed is from this CBSE pattern. Next is crime against humanity. Please understand, we need to understand this concept. What do you mean by crime against humanity? See, the crime against humanity are certain acts that are deliberately committed. This is very important. Deliberately committed as a part of widespread and systematic attack directly against civilian or identifiable part of the civilian population. So that means any crime that is committed with a deliberate attempt to harm a large number of people, civilian or any identifiable set of people. Crime against humanity is an offense under the international criminal law adopted under the Charter of International Military Tribunal, also known as the Nuremberg Charter, which tried surviving Nazi leaders in 1945 and in 1998 incorporated in the Rome Statute of International Criminal Court. So we realize that cases like where you're harming a lot of people, for that matter, see, remember, it doesn't mean that you're harming 2, 3 people, 10 people, and on the other hand, 500 people. Remember, over here, if you are killing anybody in such a case, you are again doing certain act which is against the humanity. Number does play a role, but again, even killing of few people is also against, a targeted killing is against humanity for that matter. So what happens is that crimes against humanity consist of various acts like murder, extermination, enslavement, torture, forcible transfer of population, imprisonment, rape, persecution, enforced disappearance, apartheid, among others. So these are all against crime against humanity. That means you are going against the basic humanitarian or human tendencies and violating those principles. The term also has a broader use in condemning other acts. Phrase often used, shock the conscience of mankind. That means any act that basically goes against the consciousness or the, let us say, humanitarian principle is also a crime against humanity. World poverty, man-made environmental disaster, terrorist attack are also against the concept or comes under the dimensions of crime against humanity. Unlike war crimes, crime against humanity can be committed even during the peace or even during the wartime. So again, war crimes are basically when some wars are going on. But under these crime against humanity can be during the wartime also and peacetime also. India's status. See, India is not a party to the Rome Statute, which we studied over here, the Rome Statute to the International Criminal Court. India is not a part of that. And there are specific reasons behind it. Why India is not a part, please see. Reasons for India's reluctance to participate in the Convention of Crime Against Humanity, please understand, it is not that India is against humanity. No, it is, there are certain provisions in this against which India is. That is why it is not signing. The negotiation with the ILC seeks to adopt the same definition as 𝐂𝐶 provided in the Rome Statute. Please see over here. When we talk about the Rome Statute over here, so what is basically going on is that when the negotiations are basically taking place, over here the definition of crime against humanity is same as is mentioned in the Rome Statute, and they're not changing it. What India is saying, according to the Rome Statute, crime against humanity are certain acts that are deliberately committed as part of widespread or systematic attack. Now the question is widespread or systematic attack directed against any civilian or identifiable part of the civil population. This is what is mentioned in what? This Rome Statute. What India is saying, see, India is saying India is not in favor of the using the word widespread or systematic as one of the condition, but prefers widespread and systematic. So please understand the word or that comes here is something very problematic, because over here he says that wide and systematic, which would require a higher threshold of proof. Because see, even a small act, or let us say which has got nothing to do with, let us say, against humanity also, that can be dragged, because the developed countries has often been used these provisions against India and even the developing nations very often. So India wants that if you want to basically give a proof, then it should be validated with a detailed analysis and a proof that should be available. Otherwise, if you're using the aspect of widespread or systematic, this word can be very well misused, because widespread is okay in large extent or spread over area, or systematic, something that is systematically done. Now, this is very, what you say, confusing and subjective. If it is widespread and systematic, that means a widespread act was done which was systematized. Then it is easy to have a proper analysis and proper proof of it. So India says we will not be agreeing with this, or if you use this word and, then possibly we can consider this act, because even any small act taking place in any part of country would be labeled as crime against humanity and India would be dragged to the court. And for that matter, other countries also. So that is why India is not in favor of this. Second is, India wants a distinction to be made between international and internal armed conflicts. See, this was probably because internal conflicts with Naxals and other non-state actors like Kashmir and Northeast could fall under the scope of the crime against humanity. Now, people would say that if Naxals, if the government of India is fighting against the Naxal, because Naxals is an insurgent movement that is fighting against the concept of democracy in India. So under this definition, what will happen? You can simply put that government of India is against humanitarian dimension because it is fighting its own citizens. Those are Naxals. But do you realize that the Naxals are also basically firing bullets at the armed forces? So there is a necessity that distinction should be made between the international aspects and the internal problems that take place. If this is made, only then India will sign. So this is again an important concept. Now please see, third objection related to the inclusion of the enforced disappearance of persons. Now this is one of the again problems, that enforced disappearance, that someone disappears. So what is there? International human rights law, according to them, a forced disappearance or enforced disappearance occurs when a person is secretly abducted or imprisoned by a state or a third party. That means a state secretly picks up a criminal, or let us say a terrorist, and hides that particular person. Now this is again an aspect of the that comes under the definition of crime against humanity. But what is India saying? India is of the view that signed but yet not ratified. The reason behind it is, please see. According to the Rome Statute, the International Criminal Court, when committed as a part of widespread systematic direct attack, a forced disappearance qualifies as a crime against humanity. But please understand what? There are one major objection is that various cases, a lot of terrorists do such deeds that over where secret services have to basically pick them up and arrest them. But over there, that can be again treated as a crime against humanity. That which India says we have to take case by case analysis. It doesn't mean that if a terrorist is being picked up from his location and being confined in a jail or a place, it doesn't mean that is a crime against humanity per se, because that person could possibly attack a large number of population and harm them. So this is again one of the reasons why India has objected to it. So next, multiple choice questions. First question, options, solution. Second question, options, solution. Third question, options, solution. Fourth, with question with options, solution. Fifth question, options, solution. So this was the analysis of the Hindu from today's newspaper. Hope you liked it and enjoyed it. We'll be continuing with the lecture tomorrow. Take care and Jai Hind.